Good morning. Good morning. I'm behaving like a lecturer now. Okay, I'm going to make a presentation on climate change and look at agriculture and our experience in Zambia. And I've outlined my presentation into those 4 categories, and I'll see how I proceed to make sure that I am on time. So we all know that the foundation of human existence heavily relies on agriculture, production, and food security, and which is currently vulnerable to climate change and variability. So here we are looking at climate change and variability, not only leading to frequent extreme weather events, but there are more other things which are associated with climate change. So for Zambia, we have had the experience of these extreme cases of climate change, and I'll try to elaborate on them according to some of the data which we have collected. But to start with, I want to look at agriculture in general, what has happened to agriculture and where are we in terms of agriculture. So if we look at agriculture, we have data which shows that human habitation of the earth, where we see agriculture starting, where human beings started handling or making tools, we are looking at almost 100,000 years. And the population which have habited the earth, very active in agriculture, we are looking at a population of 109 billion people who have lived this earth, including ourselves. And now, those who are alive are only 8 billion people. So you are one of the 8 billion people, but only 100 billion people have died and they lived a happy life like you. Yeah? So we are a small group of people now inhabiting the earth. And there are these challenges now. How do we manage? I think the Bible says you multiply like what? Sand? Have we reached the sand? The number of sand population which has habited the earth? So 100 billion people have lived on earth and have died. They had a happy life. We are only 7% of that. So we have to know how we handle that. But you see the generation of agriculture, we have what I call the last millennium, which we may say that the lost years. Very little agriculture, the human beings who are there, agriculture, innovation, resilience, and so on. So that's where we are. So how do we handle the world of agriculture so that Earth is able to feed the 8 billion people? I was just giving a background of what agriculture is. I want now to focus on my country, our experience in trying to address today's agriculture of sustainable agriculture in terms of quality environment. Just a brief on Zambia. The landmass of Zambia is about 75 million hectares. Arable land is estimated at 43 million hectares, which is 58%. And agriculture land is estimated to be 27 million. And in terms of agriculture, 95% of our agriculture production is under rain-fed, while only 5% is irrigated. So there's a need for us to delve into irrigation, which I'll show later on. The population is almost 1/3 of Tanzania, so we are around 22 million now, as compared to 60? Yeah, 61 million. But we have a landmass, so we are able to feed, so we'll be able to feed more and more people. Country, that's why we promote. In terms of source, we do a lot of cultivation. The dominant source. In terms of water resources, Zambia is drained by two watersheds. The Congo Basin, which is covering Luapula and Chambeshi, water flows into DRC Congo, and Zambezi, Kafue, and Ruangwa, the water drains under the Zambezi Basin, and it drains into Mozambique. And we have potential for irrigation because of this abstraction of water from the Zambezi. Drainage, we have a lot of runoff to support our hydropower, but apparently the past 2 seasons we have had challenge of electricity because we had a serious drought for the past 2 years. So the water is not enough, so we experience what we call load shedding now. We have maybe 6 to 7 hours of electricity, hydropower generation, electricity in the country because of impact of drought. In terms of agriculture production, we are divided into agroecological zones. The upper north, which is high rainfall, more than 1,000, and the middle part is between 800 and 1,000 millimeters, and below is 800. How is the production in terms of land use? If you come to Zambia during the rain season, you will find that nearly every field is with maize, just like here in Tanzania, I suppose. So we have almost 49% of cultivated land is all maize, followed by legumes, then cassava, vegetables, and so on. So maize is the dominant crop, which will grow almost 50% of the land which is cultivated is under maize. So there's challenge now. We will look at a challenge of climate change. In terms of exports, we export 90% of our exports are maize, followed by sugar and cotton, barley, and soybeans. While we import apples, I hope Tanzania you are able to have your own apples, and maize, rice, malt, and groundnuts. So we import this to supplement, but the GDP is quite low. We are looking at 8% coming from agriculture by virtue of Zambia being a mining. What is our understanding of climate change? We are saying that effects of climate change are hitting Zambia hard, as reports indicate that Zambia's climate is highly variable, and some of the issues are the drought, seasonal floods, flash floods, extreme temperature, and dry spells. Our projection of the country is that in terms of precipitation, we expect the lower part to have, by the year 2070, a reduction of 3% in rainfall, and a much lower reduction in the northern part where we have high rainfall. So because of this, we need to target our operations because of effect of precipitation as projected by the year 2070. In terms of temperature, we are seeing that by 2070, temperature is going to increase by almost more than 2%. So 2 degrees in terms of temperature. So the country during the 2023-24 experienced an extreme climatic event, and this was characterized by rainfall, late rainfall onset, prolonged dry spells, and high temperatures. And out of this, almost 1 million hectares were affected by drought resulting in crop failure of about 1 million hectares. 9 million were affected by drought in terms of population, and 1 million hectares of agricultural land was affected by drought. And this was a serious effect in terms of maize production. As I mentioned, that it takes 50%. And this resulted in grain production during this season of almost reduction by 54% in comparison to previous seasons. And because of this, Zambia declared a national disaster because we needed help in terms of the range of interventions were required. How does this look like? In terms of provinces, what we noted that during this year, the whole country, by mid of the growing season, we had a reduction in rainfall by 37% the whole country. And in terms of temperature, we had 1.2 degrees Celsius. It was much warmer, but we didn't have enough. Less than 50% of rainfall was received during this season. And just to see that, you see that the last month, February, which is critical for maize production in the country, we had very little rainfall compared to, and that's why the country had to declare a national disaster. Which parts of the country were affected? The southern part of the country was heavily affected during the drought. And how is the production looking like? If you look at the 60s, we see that the first part, area under maize production was increasing, but because of, in the 90s, there was an issue of policy, direction, structural adjustment, withdrawal of government support, and during that time, we had a fall in terms of that. But if you look at production, you have an upward trend in terms of productivity yield for maize. Those spikes we see there are spikes since 1960, when we have had the serious drought and affecting the country. So we are able now to monitor throughout the country on what area is monitoring what is happening in the country in terms of drought. So what are some of the challenges? Like any other country in the region, we are affected by climate change, and there's crop failure, livelihood losses, as well as early warning systems, so that we are well prepared of events, but also use of remote sensing so that we can map, and also carrying out climate change data collection and monitoring public awareness on climate change, and also looking at developing clear and specific legal and policy frameworks for climate change. Thank you for listening.